Hey guys, welcome back to the G Pod. Today's episode, we're going to be focusing on a BATB Battle at the Border 2024 recap. I just got back from the biggest Kendama event in the entire country of the United States, 500 plus people in that venue in Nashville, Tennessee. It was an insane sight because last year was 450. I honestly wasn't expecting to beat it this year for that event, but to see it go above and beyond and to see everybody and all the energy and everybody convening in one place, the magic of Kendama events, everybody convening in one place to play Kendama for 2 days straight, all day long, all night long. It was awesome. And it was the best Battle of the Border I've ever been to. That was my fourth one. So it was an amazing weekend.
I felt like I was the only one who wasn't there. I was watching from my computer from Japan. I watched all of freestyle. I wasn't able to watch most of Pro Open. I saw some Am Open, watched my friends compete, watched some GStandards members compete. It was epic seeing everyone crush it up there. I watched practically up until Pro Open, then I got busy for the whole day, but definitely felt like I was the only one not there at the event. Because even from Japan, there were a lot of people who went. You got Rin, Noah, Juryu, Motty, Koda from Gloken. You've got, there's that was a decent Japan squad. You have Nonoka, can't forget. I mean, we'll talk more about that later. The champion, but and then it was just very international, right, Zach? I mean,
Yeah, there
probably
was some
from
Canada,
Japan. Yeah.
yeah, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Europe. This guy hit me up, Steven. He's like, yo, I'm coming to BATV. Can't wait to go. And I checked his bio. He's from Netherlands. I was like, whoa, dude, this guy's coming from Netherlands. Awesome to see him. And actually, it's funny because on the Thursday, on the 25th, day before the comp, so me and Nonoka met up at the airport on the 24th, and we stayed at our own spot. And the morning of, we went out of that spot, and as we were getting our Uber to the depot house, the Kendama Depot, just huge, multiple apartment like street, little mini neighborhood type type of location. We encountered Steven, this guy from Netherlands, this player from Netherlands, and his friend Jack, which is a guy from Australia. So really, really cool. We're just staying at the same place. We didn't know. We just both went out and to get an Uber at the same time, and we met up and we Ubered there together. So
Wow.
that was really cool. And it was, I think, seeing more international players break into, you know, coming to United States events, because this is now the biggest event. It's not NAGO, it's Battle of the Border. So to see more people come out to this, especially from Japan, I feel like the Japan presence was definitely there this year in its highest
Hmm.
and the most it's ever been. I think it's a really good sign for Kendama, because not everybody can go to World Cup from the US. Not everybody's going to go. That's just not going to happen. I'm sure it's a dream for most, but a lot of people won't go. But everybody can go to Battle of the Border, or the people who take Kendama seriously enough to go travel, they'll go to Battle of the Border. So to get them exposure to international players, whether it be from Japan, Europe, or Australia, even, because there's a person from Australia. I think it's really, really good. I told a lot of the Japanese players, like, hey, like, this is a big deal you're here. Thank you for coming, because most of these players, exactly what I said, don't have the opportunity to ever meet you. And I'm sure they're ecstatic beyond belief to even be in the same room as you, not let alone meet you, take photos with you, maybe even play Kendama with you, play Ken, something like that, play Pop, anything like that. So it was really cool to see all the international presence out there, and of course France too. Not forgetting about To, but I know he's from the Netherlands. I mean, he lives there, but yeah.
Yeah. And you had Callum, right, from Scotland come and play the
Yes,
bagpipes on
yes, yes,
stage.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing to see. I know he's still in the US right now, traveling around, uh, making it a full trip for himself, as he should, coming all the way and making a huge trip to the US. One thing I really wish for more Japanese players, just for one day to not only come for an event, but to kind of just stay for a little bit and get the opportunity to go to more than one place other than the event. I mean, I know Juryu is going across the country right now. I know he's going to be going to California. and he's still there. He's going to be there for the next couple weeks, I think. So really, really, honestly happy for him. But I also just want Japanese players to experience what the US is like in a hotter environment. I just feel like NAKO, like NAKO and BATV are cold, and it's all amazing, and the experiences that they can have there are incredible. But I just kind of want them to one day go to a hotter place in the US at a better time. But that's just kind of off topic there. That's kind of just what I want to see. Hopefully that'll happen someday.
Yeah, it makes it
Cool.
more worth it. I mean, if they can, just like how any player listening to this can make it over to Europe or Japan for an event, it's much more worth it to either book like a week out, at least a week out, if not two, a week before or after the competition, and really make a whole trip about it and a whole experience because it is very, very, it's an amazing thing, to convene there for an event and then also explore a foreign country you've never been to before. It's awesome. And one thing I want to talk about for this event is that I just I saw more of magic in people's eyes than I usually have seen at Kendama events. I did see that at World Cup this year, but at this event, I feel like the US scene just really blew it up and the magic that I felt it's a little different now for me since I've gone to so many Kendama events, competed so many times, seen the same people at the same event so many times. Not like that gets any less special. It's definitely special, but the feeling of I think we can all remember our first feeling, especially if you started younger or you don't exactly get to play with Canal players that often. Most of these events are so special for players because this is their one or two or like third chance per year that they can interact with more than 5, 10 players, in a sesh at one time. I think the magic that that brings is insane. I saw that in people's eyes this year. People were so hyped to be around each other, meet each other, playing on with each other just all day, and reliving that through others in a different way because it's not exactly the same for me anymore. It's not like I see a person that I've seen on screen playing Konami in front of me and I'm just freaking out like I was when I was 12 or 13 because I'm so used to it. I've seen a lot of people play Konami over the years, from I've met everybody that or mostly everybody that I've seen play online in person. That is special to me still, but I think really actually observing and noticing the actual connection that takes place at these events really is what to get to another level for me because that it's just when you zoom out, it's such an amazing community, an amazing opportunity to connect with others. And this toy that connects all of us is so simple, yet it has changed our lives forever. And I saw that. I really was able to observe that this weekend, and I thought it was really special.
Yeah, I bet it was just like that way right off the bat, right? Because we had the BIRL premiere going down the day before the event started. I think that was Thursday night, right?
Yeah, that was
Thursday
Thursday night.
night before the event. I mean, there were already people, I don't know, a couple hundred players flying in to see that. Connections coming, magic in the people's eyes. It's all going down even before the event starts. Tell me a little bit about that because I haven't seen the BIRL premiere yet. I wasn't there. But it sounds like it was a huge hit and everyone was posting about it.
Yeah, we were all theorizing. I feel like a lot of people were theorizing about what the layout of the edit was going to be, how long it was going to be, what it was going to be like. Nobody really knew except for the people involved. And we all showed up at Rocket Town the night before the first day of comp. People are lining out the door. It's literally premiered on the big screen of the stage, and we had about 150 to 200 people. Maybe someone from BIRL can officially commentate on that about how many people we there was actually in that venue that night. But dude, it was long. It was BIRL was really long. I wasn't sure what to expect, but that night after meeting some players for the first time, which was really cool. Nate Wilcox, I met that dude for the first time at the premiere. It was sick. Then we sat down, started the premiere, and I saw on the screen that it was going to be an hour 55, and I didn't know what to think because I was like, I didn't know that I just sat down for the longest movie I've ever watched in my entire life. I didn't know I was going to do that, but I was like wondering if it was going to be interviews, kind of story.
something like this, but it was legitimately 2 hours of just pure tricks. So 2 hours of just tricks. There were some voiceovers at some points, but 2 hours of just showcasing many players from all over the world. Obviously, many states in the US, Europe, like France and Netherlands and Japan. The entire Soul Japan team had a part, which was sick. Tio had a part. Edwin had a part. Ben Bryan had a part, and more guys too. This guy named Danny unlocked. This guy named Chase, who I had no idea who he was. Honestly, wasn't really that familiar with Danny either. But one really cool thing about BIRL was it showcased a lot of players that aren't exactly known. They aren't well known in the community. So to give them a spotlight and give them real time on screen, not just one or two tricks, like real time, definitely like 10 tricks plus on screen was really special and definitely highlighted their skill and a little bit of their personality as well. But the funny thing about but yeah, as I said, it was an hour 55. So, you know, and once I realized that there was literally just going to be a Kendama edit, I contemplated the next 2 hours in my head. I sat there thinking, I was like, yeah, I looked at the time like, all right, 7:45. So at 8:45 or like 9 o'clock, it's literally just gonna be the same thing. And obviously I'm not trying to like the same it's a good thing. I think the BIRL is as this project, you could tell there was literally thousands of hours put into this. Brett literally said that he spent 1,000+ hours alone editing. And to all the people who filmed for so long for these to get to clips for this edit, it was a year in the making. He started filming these. You could see clips at the Parthenon at the first couple clips because he literally started filming for this 1 year ago. So a year in the making across couple continents and so many hours of filming and editing and song choosing and all of that, just insane. It's a really nice piece for pure Kendama. It's of pure Kendama and for the Kendama community by itself, which I think it was what it intended to be. And for that, it was amazing, amazing compilation of tricks. Didn't really tell a story. It wasn't really anything except for a compilation of a ton of tricks. It filmed in really high quality. And the details they put in. I know Brett talked about kind of the vibe you wanted for certain parts of the edit. There's a lot of thought that went in there. Overall, good piece for the Konami community. It's gonna be nice for people to get their hands on it and see 2 hours of just pure Konami slayage. But it's not something I would, you know, give to someone to show them Konami for the first time or yeah, exactly. Introduce Konami for the first time too, which it wasn't intended to be. So it's
Right. I think
pure edit. It's literally a pure trick edit for 2 hours straight. And some people
yeah.
had full parts, some people had kind of just a couple tricks. And overall, great project for the community. But yeah, it's just an edit. It's just like it's 2 hours of just pure slayage.
Yeah, I think it kind of represents an element from skating culture in a way. I'm not really familiar with skating, but just hearing the about the emotions that were displayed from players in that edit, they showed anger, they showed happiness, just all these things through trial and error that you can get through, all these emotions you can kind of feel through chasing a trick. And yeah, there was no story. It was just all about the tricks themselves and from players all around the world taking part. Kind of a worldwide edit, first of its kind. The first of its kind, kind of directed towards just tricks only. There was no story, just 2 hours full of bangers. And while for myself, I'm definitely gonna have to watch that in parts because I don't know if I could watch something for 2 hours just of tricks without a story, just for me personally. But it's definitely gonna be something that everyone's gonna be having on their TV while they're sessioning. It's gonna be a great thing to listen to while you're playing Kinama. Going to be great to watch. I'll definitely be watching all of it eventually. And yeah, I think you touched on Zack that Edwin and Ben Bryan were just melting
Oh
your
my gosh.
brain.
Like Edwin, Ben, and Teal had, in my opinion, the best parts for me personally. I think Tio had so many tricks. It was like he had two parts. Like Tio had so many tricks in the beginning. I was like, all right, that was his part apparently. And then in the end, he had an entire part. I was like, oh, like and there's another just like 10 tricks of just pure insanity. But it's fun. Like I do like yes, it was a really long edit, and it's funny because the first trick would be like at the Parthenon, just something someone would get really quick, nothing crazy. But then the response would be like, "Yeah, let's go!" And then an hour and a half in, when Ben Bryan comes on with like the hardest tricks in the entire edit, I was like, I feel like they just didn't get the cheers that they kind of warranted because all of us were kind of just like numb because we were just sitting there for an hour and a half watching just like bright light on a screen, But which was kind of funny for me to think about in the moment. I was like, dude, this if this was the first trick, I think the entire the entire venue would just break because what he did in that edit was insane. Ben Bryan has really, really, really stepped up and is really pushing the the level of skill here in the United States. And I can say the same thing about Edwin too. I mean, that guy had so many tricks, at least 30 tricks, something like that, 20, 30 tricks. And oh yeah, I'm not kidding. When they say they have full parts, they're not joking. Like they have like 15 tricks at least, I swear. Mm, and Edwin had some of the craziest tricks I've ever seen. Obviously, switch tricks that are just mind boggling. And Tio had really really satisfying tricks to watch too that displayed a high level of difficulty. So, and I also got to shout out Danny. Danny Dom and Danny on Instagram, I believe his Instagram username is. He's unlocked. Really impressive, dude. Really impressive play. And it was really cool to see you have such a big part in that edit. Danny was a guy who probably had like 30, 40 tricks too. And I mean, I might be exaggerating a little bit. I actually don't know. I just remember Edwin saying before this BIRL premiere that he was like, yeah, I think I have 40 tricks. And I wasn't counting everybody's tricks, but Danny definitely had like 25 or 20, something like
That's
that.
really, I can't even imagine that.
No,
I
when they
can't
just filmed, they filmed so
imagine.
much. Like they filmed so like so many hours put into this edit. So it was really cool to see. There wasn't a single Sweets player in it. So
It's all good.
that was, that was kind of, I mean, like that was just something that I was just sitting with the Sweets team. They're like, oh, no Sweets players. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. But I'm looking forward to, and not that I say that like I'm mad about that or anything. I actually don't care at all. But it's
Mm.
it's I'm really looking forward to seeing what BIRL does in the future because Brett said it himself. The BIRL number 2 started filming this weekend again about the border. They have more projects. He wants to do a lot with that. You have more projects on the way, and future videos that may be more of a documentary or interview style or storytelling with the inclusion or without the inclusion of econometrics. I'm sure he's thinking about that. He has a big team. Tio is like the BIRL I don't want to call it ambassador because it's more than that. BIRL coordinator for Europe, liaison. Is what Brett said. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to see what BIRL does in the future because it's a really good thing for Kendama. Just super super high quality video documentation of Kendama across the entire world. So huge thing for Kendama this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Big moves for 2024 this year, it sounds like, with more Brawl projects and more full projects on YouTube and not just Instagram Reels and everything that we all love, but full parts for people in the community. Sounds like a new thing that Kanama really needs. And it's going to level up the Kanama world in general. So yeah, really looking forward to that. But let's move on to the competition aspect. So Thursday we get done with BIRL. Next day you wake up, it's freestyle. And I wasn't there. So Zach, I want to ask you, who was kind of blowing your mind all week? And we can go to freestyle, we can go to open first. Doesn't really matter, your choice. Yeah, talk to me about it.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to say about the BIRL premiere, just want to say one of Ben Bryan's tricks was quad tap, jug quad can, jug quad tap, jug inward goon. Then that same four sandwich, jug penguin stunt fast. And I was just like, bro, you're I was just like, that's what I actually lost it, dude. I was like, no way this kid just did that. Like, it's just because he would just end every trick like that. Like literally every trick. I'm like, God, I don't even get it. But so I felt like I had to comment on that because that if I remember one thing from BIRL, it was just that trick. So and then Edwin did quad inward still tray. So that was cool. That's
Yeah.
obviously really insane. Um, but competition wise, I really like the lineup for freestyle this year. You know, it's either the decision of making freestyle qualifiers and then dealing with that the entirety of the day. Or, Chad, he picks the top 16 people that he believes are going to put on the best performance of the that are going to the event. He's put them all against each other. That was the most stacked. I mean, that freestyle lineup, anybody could have won any match. I genuinely believe that. Everybody had such different styles. It was very international from, people from Japan, Europe, and the United States were in that. It was really, really cool. And I really like how Chad did it this year. I really, really like that style. And he invited the best players, I think, for it too. I think in freestyle, obviously, you look at, Nonoka's first ever round. She was going first against Alex Mitchell, and she murdered him. Like she murdered him. Alex did good.
That could have
Like
been the final.
that could have been the
That could have
final.
been.
That could have easily been the final match because Alex did good, but Nonoka just simply snapped. She snapped,
Yeah.
and I think that set the tone for how the rest of the freestyle and how she did. I mean, she ended up winning. That was really cool to see. And other than that, I mean, people had really good freestyles. For me, it's I did make a recap video of Nonoka, but she was mostly the only one person I was watching, and even with her, I only watched her first 2 or 3 rounds because I was in it myself and I kept practicing. I wasn't really watching other people, but I know Logan did really well. Kelvin obviously got 30, did well, and it's really cool to see people lean into their styles and, of course, showcase different style of play and really lean into it to, you know, hopefully succeed the best they can. And we saw that with every player the deeper the rounds got. Because of course, the deeper the round you get, if you keep doing the same stuff, it's just not good. It's going to be worth less and less. So Kelvin and Nonoka got first, Kelvin got third. Ended up getting second. I think the closest match of the day must have been mine and Kelvin's, and maybe the best match of the day. I really think that Kelvin was was pretty smart in the sense that he really leaned into his style. He was doing tricks that, he's consistent on tricks that are very Kelvin tech, unlike any of the other players that are competing, and he was hitting them over and over again. It, it was a close match and I ended up winning. And some people, and I would like to, I'm going to talk about this because I think some people, I mean, obviously when it's a split decision, it was a split decision 2-1 to me. It's people have their people can think either way, and obviously I wouldn't have been surprised if I lost that match, you know. I can get into why. The I think the reason that match was so close was because on one hand, you have Kelvin being pretty consistent with his tricks, actually legit not missing that much. He was killing it pretty hard versus me, who was definitely less consistent, but just hitting objectively more difficult tricks. And so that's kind of where the balance is. Some of Kelvin's tricks were really entertaining. Um, but if you dissect them, they just weren't as difficult. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I think it would interest people to hear me talk about it because it was so close, because it was the best match of the day. But Kelvin does a really good job of leaning into his style and progressively, improving his style within freestyle. Because if he played like everybody else and tried to go for the same tricks as everybody else, I think he would lose pretty early. Just because he has more of an affinity towards his style of tricks. That's why he's doing them versus taps, can flips, juggles to bird, some stuff like this. Um, and I think for that he knows that, and he's really smart about that, and he really could have easily won that match. It just ended up going my way. It just was so close, and I think the only reason I won too is because I got like a buzzer beater triple and with silver at the end, which
That was
I'm really
crazy.
stoked about that happened. I hit like a two-piece line at the end, and I think that saved me. And in my mind during the match, I knew if I didn't hit something there, I would lose 100%. I knew I would literally have no shot of winning, and I made it happen. But even with that, I wouldn't have been surprised if it went his way. And this is something that is a common theme. This is another theme for the finals match between me and Nonoka. It's when you make a match close and it's split decision and it's super, super close and it's like, oh my God, either of them could have won. And it's those matches when you go off stage and you instantly
Like it's like people are going to be saying like, "Oh, like nice job, like you totally killed that." But then you have an equal amount of people, if not more people, saying, "Man, that was that person going to the person who just lost, like that you got robbed, like you should have won that." The only reason that it's close 95% of the time is because a person didn't do good enough. You know, I didn't expect to win that match because I didn't do good enough. If I don't crush an opponent, if I don't make it clear that I won, then I can't expect to win. If it's close, I can't expect to win because if it's close, that's leaving room for a split decision. And for that to happen, that just means you didn't land your tricks. And in that case, the it went my way, and I think I understand why. And in the finals match, it was really, really close because me and Nonoka did really bad. And versus our other rounds. I mean, if Nonoka played like she did in the first round, it would have just been a landslide. It wouldn't even been a thought. But that was a split decision, 2-1 to her. And I think the reason I lost that was because I just choked in the final. Didn't land that many tricks. She didn't land that many either. But at the end of the day, I just didn't do good enough, and that was why it's really close. And that's
Yeah.
pretty much it. It's really simple. It's if it's a split decision, some people might be like, "Oh, that's bullshit. I got robbed. Man, I should have totally won that." And it's like, well, should you have really? Because the reason you're like it's your own fault. You made it close.
Yeah,
So
you have to, I mean, when you I mean, there are times, right, in a freestyle where people legitimately do get like very rarely, I think people get like absolutely robbed out of their mind. Like
yeah, I mean it'll
they
happen, especially at Captain Flow.
it'll
It'll
happen.
happen.
It'll happen. Like that'll happen. I've seen it at Captain Flow happen a lot. Like just people just losing and I'm just like, how did they lose? There's no possible way. But when it's split decisions like that, and I've had this happen to me too. And you have to really take the responsibility for yourself and over everything. Like it's much easier to do that than go around blaming the judges, blaming the person you played, blaming the thoughts of other people, because none of that really matters. It's when a split decision goes your way, cool, you won. Like just walk away with that. Walk away with
Yeah,
the W. You take those. Apparently, you slid it. Slid by this time, right? With the stuff that you did. But if you lose on a split decision and you're like, oh my god, that was me. Or you have people telling you, God, you should have won that because that's happened to me a million times. Like I've lost, and people will come up to me and be like, I really thought you had that. I really thought that was you. But in my head, it's just always like, well, not to me because I clearly wasn't super confident in my win there. I wasn't confident in the tricks I had landed, and it's just easier to just man up and say, yeah, I just didn't do enough personally, and you have to really take that and just accept that, despite no matter what anybody says. And then I actually had somebody come up to me at NAKO 2022, just after I beat someone, and they thought it was a close match. And they're like, "What did you think about that?" Like, because they clearly wanted the other person to win, and I was like, "Well," and I did tell it to him straight. I was like, "Yeah, man. Well, if it's close and it goes your way, you did good. But if for that person that you wanted to win, who I was playing, they clearly just didn't do enough to beat me.
you just got to
So
do
you
better.
lose.
Like you just got to do
So you just
better.
have to do better. Yeah, I just told him that straight up, like it can go either way in those moments, but if you lose, you just have to kind of accept the fact that you didn't do enough. And that day, that person didn't do enough against me, and I did more. And it can go both ways though. Like with Zack, Zack didn't do enough for himself. Clearly, didn't show up the way he wanted to in the final. Didn't go his way, and Nonoka won, and Nonoka took it. Despite what other people think, who should have won, or whatever. But it doesn't really matter because for Zack personally, he didn't do enough, and that's
Yeah.
something I want other people to resonate with because it's just all on you.
Yeah, and just taking what you learn in in this competition and applying it to the next one. That's all we can do, and it does no good to just gripe about it. And
Controlling what you can control.
yeah, and overall, if I were to lose to anybody in that freestyle, it would have been Nonoka because she's my teammate. I wanted to face her in the final. I was stoked when we literally just went up there and we're like, all right, we're in the finals. Let's go. Like I went up to her, I was like, hey, we did good, huh? Like we did good before the match started. We're like, hey, we're here. And yeah, it was awesome to play her in the finals. Nonika's been a player I've respected and I feel I've gotten a good relationship with over the past almost 7 years now, which is nuts to think about. I've known her for even longer than that, 8 years. But
Yeah, I was really, really excited to see her win. Maybe not in the moment. It was really bittersweet. I mean, the half of me is like, yes, but half of me is like, ah. But it's overall, she made history this weekend. She's the first female player to actually win a pro division in anything, Kendama. So for that, that's not girls open, but to actually go up there, beat the guys and win, I mean, she did an amazing job, and her entire run from the first round to the finals was great. And she had I mean, she went home with a lot of prizes. She went home with a lot of stuff. Honestly, good job to her for even getting back to Japan with that, because she like had an extra box. She had to check an extra box, suitcase fully packed. Um, but no, it was if anybody had to win, I wouldn't have chose anybody but her. So I'm really proud of her. Yeah. And good job getting second, bro.
Oh, thanks.
You know, yeah, yeah, I think we kind of like glided over that. But yeah, great job for getting second. And I'm proud of how you did this year for the table. You obviously wanted to repeat, but I think there were some reasons there that that you couldn't achieve as much as you wanted to achieve. And yeah, would you like to tell us a little bit about that? Because I think you have some thoughts on that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll talk about open division too, because this is the same reason. So for those who don't know, or just unaware, I mean, I I just did so bad in open this year. Did not do as good as I wanted to do at all. I won last year, so I wanted to have a strong showing again. I don't go into any of these events with any expectations. I don't expect myself to win because of a previous result. I don't expect myself to win because of something I'm doing beforehand. Everything I do beforehand, you're just all the practice a person does beforehand, you just maximize the chances of yourself doing good. You maximize the potential. It's no guarantee. You don't guarantee anything by practicing. You just maximize the chances of you doing well. So that being said, I practice the tricks, but I think what really and I'm telling you, I did the worst performance I've ever done in open period at any event in the past 12 years that I played. And after I lost the second match, and honestly, even after I lost the winners match, and even in the matches that I won, I noticed something was really off, and I didn't feel the same, and I didn't have the same confidence that I usually do in the matches. Even in the matches that I won, I was just like, no, this is really weird because this match should have ended a lot quicker. It and after I lost, I really racked my head. I was like looking at the ceiling, just seeing, just really wondering, what went wrong? Because it wasn't nerves, it wasn't, uncomfortability. I've been at comps like just many, many times, and I think it's very simple to me. Actually, it's very simple. It's because I wasn't playing consistently enough for long enough before the event. And what I mean by that is I just legitimately wasn't playing that much up until the end of December. And that really hurt me. That really hurt me in this comp. I know I got a good showing in freestyle, but that hurt me there too because I didn't win. And that lack of confidence that I felt on stage was so foreign to me that I didn't really know what was going on. I'm practicing before the comp, I'm getting honed, I'm still hitting my tricks. But when it was game time, I was up on stage, I was missing so many times. I couldn't figure out why, but that is the reason why. After the World Championships, I kind of took a little space away from Kendama with how frequently I was playing, and that bled into the coming months of September, August, October, November, and then the first start of December. And I wasn't thinking about it much of it then, but then I had a completely clear revelation of where Kendama fits into my life, what I want to do with it, its importance in my life, and how it's affected me in the past and how it's going to affect me going forward, to where I did rekindle my connection with Kendama and am now in a completely different mental headspace with Kendama than I was just 2 months ago. Just 2 months ago. So I did start ramping up my playing again, but you know, it wasn't enough. And I really think that's what hurt me a lot, this competition. Um,
And that's pretty much it. I just didn't play that much in comparison to what I was playing before World Cup, and especially the beginning of last year, the first quarter and a half of last year, I was playing so much, and I was, the results paid off. But that's what I can chalk it up to. The competition, basically the takeaway from this for everybody listening, the competition prep doesn't start when the tricks drop. It doesn't start, when you get to the event. It can, and it can work, but the competition prep starts. It's always in motion. It's
Starts
always in
now. It
motion.
starts today.
It starts today. It started yesterday. It started yesterday because you're going to show up to that event as a reflection of yourself cumulatively for every hour you've put into Kendama up until that point, competition ready or not. Whether you're good at competition or you're how good you are in person, how skilled you are, how consistent you are. The prep for that is it started yesterday. So that's the main takeaway from this event for me. It's like, all right, like hours don't lie. You didn't play that many hours in the span of the last 5 months. You know, you deserve what happened to you. Like this is a lesson learned.
Yeah.
Take what you can learn from it and then move on. And that's what I took away from this event. It seemed very hard for me to conceptualize right after I lost, and I was like, this is really weird. I just felt so bad today. But then after an hour or two, I really just came back and was like, oh, it's a really simple conclusion. You can't you didn't put the time in, dude. Like you didn't put the time in, and that simple as that. But Kendama is as I said, Kendama is a. I don't want this to seem like I am not playing Kendama anymore because that is completely false. As I said, I had a complete revelation and a complete new, reach a new level of clarity of where Kendama fits into my life. Ever since say month and a half ago, and ever since then, it's been at the forefront of my mind every single day in different aspects, in different ways, not just playing, but in different ways. So I'm really, really, really excited for the future and excited for more events because Nick and I have committed to going to every single major event this year, at least. So
I
EKC,
don't want to. I don't want to say we'll hit every single major event because we might be missing one. Like we don't know, like all the major
I'm
events,
talking
right?
about
We might.
EKC, KWC, NACO.
Okay, because I was gonna say catch and flow. We don't know about that one yet.
We don't know about that one. Yeah, that's the only one we don't know about, but
I don't know about that one to be
kind of
honest.
depends. Kind of
But
depends, but Nick and we will both be there at each event. It'll be awesome seeing everybody. So just want to put that out there as well. And what I just said in relation to competition, I want to highlight somebody who did really well this weekend. Johnny Kress, my one of my best friends, one of our best friends, Nick, and an amazing player. He actually is an example of he didn't practice that much. He didn't practice that much. He actually didn't run through the tricks that much at all, and he wasn't playing kendama that much in the months leading up to the event. The frequency of play was just not there, and I'm only saying this because he told me this himself. So, but look at him. He honed in. He felt good up there. Made a setup, mixed and matched the setup day before the comp, and just went in and he went in and he got third. He was a monster up there. Nobody could really touch him before the top 8 tricks. He only missed 4 times and he played like 4 matches. So, to get to the top 8 and only miss 4 times, you got to be disgustingly honed. And Johnny is a player who's of tremendous skill that reflected just that this weekend. And for him to get third, given the circumstances, and really hone in and beat tough players leading up to that, leading up to that semifinal match. It was really amazing to see. I could tell he was focused all weekend and the drive to compete and never gets old to be around. It never gets old to be around. It really pushes you. I want to be around players who push me and who are competing at these events. Johnny is a player I can always count on to push, and he did an amazing job. But I also want to comment. So yeah, shout out Johnny and Nonoka too. Nonoka was dialing the tricks super, super, super. I mean, she was the best one at the Sweet Area the tricks. I honestly thought she might get a double W across freestyle and open just based on how she was performing. But then she got out way earlier than she definitely anticipated and how everybody was anticipating too. So again, this goes back to what I've been saying. It's practice doesn't guarantee anything. And sometimes it's just the way it goes in some certain matches. You could be really honed one match and just suck the next match. it's up to you to be as consistent as possible. And you saw that in both in different situations across every division this weekend about the border. Just the way it goes with competition. But the last thing I'll say, and honestly, interject Nick if you want to say anything before I talk about the finals.
Go ahead.
All right, yeah, but I feel like I've just been talking for a long time.
That's all good. Good job, Johnny. Love you,
Yeah,
dude.
Johnny
And I can't
killed it.
wait. I'm gonna watch his matches again later, leading up to the finals. So yeah, really, really can't wait to watch those. Man,
Sometimes hard to
proud of you.
find them because sometimes hard to find people in general on the stage because there's like six at the same time. Just like one was in the corners, some of them were in the
I'll be
corner.
honest.
But dude, Motty and Alex, hats off to you guys this weekend. Really, really, really impressive Kendama play. I mean, really impressive. Motty was a robot going up to that finals. The
He
way he
always
played,
is.
the way he played against Johnny, just you have almost zero room for error against someone like that. Nearly zero. And when you hit WFO first tee, you hit everything first tee, and when and you missed literally twice in the match or something, I mean, just I think that at that point you just kind of tip the hat to the other player, and it's like, wow, respect, because that's insane that you're doing that on top eight tricks, you know? Motty was robotic. Alex, obviously, though, you know, really amazing job too. I don't know how many times he's won this event, at least three, but
That'll be four now, maybe.
four.
I think
Him
four.
and Liam have almost won
I'm
it
not counting, but I
five
think it's
times
probably four.
each.
Yeah, that's cool.
But dude, they were both insane. I don't know who beat Motty. I don't know who beat Motty at all. But whoever did, congrats. But Alex went the entire time undefeated, and I mean, obviously, for a loser to win against the winner in a double elimination is insane. Because to score 10 points on them, honestly, thought Motty might be able to do it. But I'm stoked Motty won. I mean, I'm stoked Alex won because let's go keeping USA at the at number one for this event.
Absolutely.
I'm really stoked on that. I was rooting for Alex because of that, and they're both playing out of their minds. So really great example of consistent high level Kanama play. I hope there are videos that showcase that pop up on Instagram and YouTube here pretty soon because it was really amazing. As soon as you go into these top eight matches, everybody's playing so well that even if you go 2-0 up on someone, anything can happen and you can just get reversed. And that's the type of stakes that are going to be at this level of play, and it's really really incredible to see, especially if you know what's going on. Obviously, freestyle is more kind of everybody, no matter if you're a canal player or not, can kind of receive it and kind of and comprehend it at a certain level. But open, if you really understand the stakes, really have been up there on stage yourself, you really understand how hard the it is to do what these players are doing. So amazing job to them both. Great job to Johnny for getting third, killing it, and yeah, I was really impressed by people this weekend.
Yeah, Madi, my God, man. That guy. I mean, I played him at Pop Swag in December. I played him first round of the finals, first round of the top 16. And man, that could have been the finals right there. I mean, obviously, well, no, it couldn't have been because the finals between Taki and Madi was absolutely disgusting. But man, Madi, oh, when he's a robot, dude, you really can't. It's hard to touch that guy. I mean, he was matching all my tricks back then there too. And it sounds like at BATB he was just a different breed. And I know he practiced a lot. Madi practices so much for competitions, and that's why he gets the scores he always does. He is always getting top three in almost every comp he goes to. It's really, really impressive, and the consistency has been there for years. He's been a top player for a long time, but I think he's been practicing more and more and more, and I think results are really starting to show recently in these past couple of years. It's really going Madi's way recently, so I'm really, really proud of him. I think he's becoming more of a person as well, right? I think he's filling
Yeah,
into more of himself. I saw a lot of more actually on stories for BATB. I saw more personality from him than I ever have in my life. Him screaming, him like smiling a lot, and like just saying things that I wouldn't expect Monty to even say. I wouldn't expect him to say anything in some circumstances, but
like for
yeah, it
what
sounds like
example? Give me an example.
well, him just like screaming, right? I think at one of the stories, he had just got second in open, and Noah was interviewing him, and he
she asked him if he was happy and stuff, and he said yes, of course, and then they talked about him screaming, like, oh, you should scream then, like you should go and scream, and if this is really fun for you. And he screamed, oh, this has been amazing, like this has been super fun. Like he screamed really loud.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, man, like you are actually a robot, or I thought you were because I just couldn't read him usually. He's like a robot in Kendama play, but he also was just like kind of a robot as a person in my eyes. But yeah, seeing it over the weekend really made me happy. To see Motty kind of just get more animated. It was
Yeah,
really,
he had,
really
he
cool.
he definitely displayed a lot more emotion. And
Yeah.
one of my favorite my favorite memory of Motty this weekend is actually him winning. I believe his it might have been the match against Johnny, but he
Mm.
did win a match pretty late into the rounds, and he jumped off stage. He kind of ran
Oh,
and jumped off
oh,
stage. And at that moment, dude, I thought he broke something. I literally
oh.
was like, no way this dude just jumped off stage. And because the only reason I thought he broke something because he like fell a little bit. Like he fell into the ground. And I was like,
Oh my
no way
God.
this dude just jumped off stage and now is just totally fucked. Like he's just I was like, all right, like this is bad. But he got up and I was like, oh, thank God, because from my angle it looked pretty bad, but got up
Absolutely.
I could tell he was showing more emotion from the moment I saw him, which was literally when I got to Nashville. Because when I got to Nashville, I met up
Awesome.
with Nonoka, but also the entire Soul Japan squad was there except for Rin. We're there, and then I go up to obviously me and Jury are kind of like, yo, what's good? But then Motty too. I was like, what's up, Motty? Like, what's up, bro? And he was very receptive to that, very, into that. And I was like, and at that moment, I was like, okay, like, all right, like, all right,
Like, yeah,
we've leveled
like
up.
giving you a hug, like coming in for the hug was like, oh
Yes,
shit.
yes. I was
Like,
like, all right, we leveled up, dude. Like, let's get it. Like,
yeah.
like, let's go, Motty. And seeing him the whole weekend, dude. He had this really cool device too. He had this really cool device that was I literally thought was like an iPod one. That was like an iPod shuffle or something. But what it actually was this cool device, probably only for this function. It was just a translator. So you speak into it, pick the language, and it spits out or it automatically translate from speak to text. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
sweet.
it was
Oh my
cool.
God.
He busted it out after because I had to, obviously after everything settled down, pictures were taken, prize were given. I went up to him before we left the event. I made sure to say, like, congrats, dude. You're literally you're an animal. But he busted out the translation thing, and I was like,
What did
this
you
is a
say though?
very cool device. Like, this is really cool. And I was like, you know what? This is really awesome because now I can really tell him how what I want to tell him right now, and I can praise him how I want to do it. So I was like, can I see that? And he was like, yep. And I probably spoke into it for about 40 seconds. then I gave it back to him. So it was a long message, but I just,
That's cool.
I was like, I don't want to waste my opportunity. Any opportunity where I can express or really, communicate to the best of my ability to a Japanese player or a foreign
Yeah.
player that can't speak English, or that well is, I want to take that opportunity because I want to make them know how much, I want to talk to them and make sure how much I want to, say to them and communicate with them. So that was a really
Yeah,
handy
100.
tool. So if we don't speak
Yeah, that's
Japanese
really,
like
really
Nick,
cool.
that's a really great, awesome tool to have.
Yeah, that's really smart of Madi to bring something like that. I've never
Oh
seen a
no, it was
foreign
really
player
smart.
like that
Yeah.
where yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of people who like Japanese players don't really understand American players as much, even though they just look up to them and they're just like this figure, right? They're just like this two-dimensional being. Oh, this guy's a pro. Like I look up to him, and same thing for Americans and Japanese players. It's one thing for them to go to each other's events, which is incredible to kind of just share that energy, but also yeah, just to get some good translation devices out to really break that language barrier because it is a barrier. Even though Kendama is an incredible tool which can help you communicate with just about anybody to a certain degree, but yeah, I think it was just definitely good of you, Zach, to take time out of your day at the event to really give Madi a meaningful message in the best way you could. And because, it's not like they hear stuff from pros they've looked up to for years or have been in the game for so long. They don't hear stuff like that very often. So I think you did good there, Zach. That's really nice.
Yeah, when I saw that opportunity, I was like, I got to pounce on it because there's no way for me to even express what I'm saying, even over text. I don't even care if it's over text.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I guess he didn't really hear my emotions in it because it was just speak to text. But over text, you can appreciate what someone says, but if you can understand the emotion behind what they're saying, it's way better. And looking back,
Well, he was probably watching you.
oh
He was
yeah,
probably
yeah. I
watching.
mean, he was
He
watching
knew.
me, so it
He
came
knew.
through a little bit. But
It's
yeah,
okay.
overall the open competition was it got me stoked because I really the level of Kanama play was extremely high. It was extremely high, and for Alex
Yeah.
to win and keep doing what he's doing, man, that is such a
Well
that is
deserved.
such an impressive feat, and he's definitely the best open competitor right now,
Yeah.
100%.
BATB is his.
And he won,
BATB.
and he actually got first place in the World Kanama rankings as well. You want to talk about those a little bit?
No, we can do that at a different time.
Cool.
But I think 365. Yeah, it was at the World Konami Rankings. 365 put out top 25.
Yep.
Really interesting list. And then we can talk about it more, I guess, when we have more information on it, right? Like they are going
They put
dropping.
out the information on it.
Oh, they put it out. Okay, so let's keep that for a different episode because I think people would like to focus on that at a
Yeah,
different
yeah,
time.
yeah,
I'm really excited to
yeah.
talk about it.
But yeah, Alex won
Um,
first on that.
but
So
Alex got first.
and then
He,
yeah,
he won
so
first. He was
yeah, he
ranked
won
first.
first. He won first many times to get
He
that.
won first
Yeah.
many times. Let's go. Yeah. So great that Alex won, kept it for the US. Congratulations to all the winners in freestyle and open and am open and advanced intermediate beginner. And congrats to all the winners in every division. Really, really amazing to go up on a stage and at a Kanama event and just kill it and just crush it. So congrats to all of you. Now, just to touch on just moving away from competition a little bit, Zach, I was so bummed I couldn't be there for one big reason. It was because all of GStandards was at the event. Like literally every single player that we've been working with was there. How was it to see everyone in person? You know, I wasn't really trying to go, I wasn't really too sad I wasn't going to BATB this year, but then I saw everyone from GStandards was making the trip and I got really, really bummed. And I'm really, really excited to meet them sometime this year. But Zach, how was that, dude? Seeing everyone in person, taking the group photo, connecting with everyone in person.
It was amazing. I was so hyped to meet everybody. I was honestly more hyped to meet them than see the Sweets team again for the sole fact that actually in G standards, I'm actually wasn't aware of who these players are or half of them for like half of them were before this program started. So to actually have us all be able to meet each other in person so soon after we started this entire journey together, this 90-day experience was really special. And to show up there and kind of have our own a team of our own, right? We are, affiliated with each other in this really unique way, all pushing toward to Kendama towards, on the next level for ourselves and our personal development, pushing it to the next level as well at the same time with Kendama. To all be connected on that level and all have previously connected in a couple, through group chats and calls over Zoom beforehand, practicing the tricks with each other for battle, getting to know each other. It just felt like I already knew these guys. It felt like I already knew these guys. Excuse me. Like I already knew these guys. We just greeted each other, open arms, hugs all around, and just seeing the energy in person from these dudes. For G standards, it's not a you don't have to do a trick to be qualified. You don't have to do a certain trick. You don't have to be a certain level of consistency. You don't have to be a certain skill. The only prerequisite to G standards to know if this is a good fit for you is your mentality towards kendama, your mentality towards improving, and how much of a growth mindset you have. We accept players on those on where we want to surround ourselves with those type of players. We want to be interacting with those players the most. And if you're that player, message me and Nick, and we can start talking. But to see that energy in person, live with each other, powerful, really powerful. And it was awesome to see all of them compete. For some of them, it was actually the first time competing ever,
Hmm.
and it was a really cool experience to see. It was, we had players from all the way from the intermediate level to people competing in the Pro Open. Cooper Iranaga and Nate Wilcox and Edwin competing in the Pro Open. So people of all different skill levels. We have people in every division except for beginner. But shout out Kevin. We have this player Kevin in our group, and his sister first competition ever, one beginner at the
Mm.
event. So shout out to her. Shout out to Kevin for competing in Am Open. Really cool experience. And I was really happy to spend some time with each one of them and to really talk to them in person and get to know them even more because it just never, these are the people we want to be around. And it did not surprise me at all that they are all amazing people. They're all amazing
Yeah.
people with great heads on their shoulders, amazing, great goals and mindsets towards achieving those goals. And it really made me proud of what you and I are doing here, Nick. Like we are facilitating an environment for growth as a Kendama player and as a person like no one's ever done in Kendama ever. And to see that on display this weekend after just 2 weeks of really officially starting this with everybody, it it really made me proud and stoked to just be in the same company as these guys, be of the same affiliation as these guys. So
Yeah.
it felt really special.
Yeah, I was definitely inspired over the whole weekend just watching you guys come connect. And I was, and it helped me definitely get some of my wins and hit some milestones while BATB was going down. And I felt that energy from GStandards. It's just like you said, we're surrounding ourselves with the people that we want to be surrounded by. And we're making that environment, we're facilitating that environment, we're making it come to life for us. And it's pretty incredible that we can help other players be okay and be comfortable in that kind of environment as well because everyone has the same growth mindset. Everyone has specific goals, but there's one thing that's certain is that everyone wants to improve in their own specific ways with Kendama, both as a player and as a person. And we're all doing our best to take them there in these 90 days and well on after that. I think this is really only the beginning. And Zach, you and I are going to do incredible things with GStandards. It's only just begun. There's a lot more to come. So the squad's only going to get bigger. The squad's only going to get better. The standards are going to be raised, and that's exactly what we want. It's exactly what our goals are with Kendama. This year is going to be incredible. I really, really can't wait
Agreed.
to end it. To end this podcast, just a couple takeaways here, Zach. I don't want to forget about the last day of the event or the last day. Sorry that you were there.
Mm,
Last full day. Day after the
Parthenon.
Parthenon day. Boom. That was probably a fun session. You had everything there, meeting all the pros, meeting all the Japanese players. Sorry, I said meeting all the pros, but you've met all the pros over the past 12 years. Hanging out with everybody. That day was a great session, but at the end, and you can talk about the Parthenon too if you have anything more to say, but I think you hosted a steak dinner.
I did.
Man, that's just like a first of its kind.
I hosted a steak dinner. It was epic. I'll talk about the Parthenon first. So Parthenon Jam was especially cold this year. Honestly,
Ooh.
overall feedback from the Parthenon Jam was like, let's just get out of here. I mean, for most players at least. I mean, there are obviously people sessioning pretty hard and filming tricks. And filming tricks for KWC even. Coda offered it was like, Zach, you want to film a trick? And I was like, no, nah, I'll definitely just send one in because I can't even play Kendama right now. But it was I really had a good time at the Parthenon Jam, even though I was only there for a couple hours. There's this kid named Colton, Kendama Colton. Met him. Awesome young dude from out of Minnesota, 11 years old. He did stilt, flipped to no hole stilt, flipped to stilt. Really, really sweet kid. He came there with his dad and his brother. Was able to play a game of pop with him. Really fun. And was able to say hi and connect with others that I hadn't connected with all weekend. Get some conversations in. And then I left the Parthenon Jam pretty soon after that. But overall, just an amazing showcase of just hundreds of Kendama players at this one place in Nashville. It was really cool. But that's kind of like the outro day, right? People have their flights. People are bringing their stuff to the Parthenon because they're going to the airport from the Parthenon, and and yeah, it's a good outro day because people are sessioning and then they're like, see ya for the next one, going straight to the airport. So that was a fun sesh, but I did end up hosting a steak dinner for those who were interested and those who can make it Sunday night. I didn't host. My original plan was hosted on Saturday night, but that just wasn't smart because we didn't know when the comp was going to end. So Fortunately, all the some of the people who wanted to come couldn't make it because they had flown out before the dinner. But overall, we had 14 people at the dinner, and we stayed at a spot that we got us steaks at a spot that was not, wasn't. I feel like I did a really good job picking the spot and ended up going pretty well just because it wasn't a place that was super high end to the sense that you had to dress super nice, but also, it wasn't just it's a steakhouse, so it was pretty nice anyways, but it didn't have that same like requirement of dressing nice and whatever. So I mean, it was just a really, really nice dinner of connection and an opportunity to eat great food, the the greatest food you can ever put in your body, in my opinion, all in one place. All of us talking about the weekend with each other. We were there for about 2.5 hours, 2 hours. So it was it was just awesome. Just conversations all around. And shout out to all those who came because that was really special for me. I really, really enjoyed that. And I hope you did too. Got some good feedback on it as well. And that was definitely the last time I saw kind of most people all weekend. That was it. Because once I said bye to people there, I pretty much had to wake up for my flight the next day and just leave for the airport. And for those who don't know, I I've been on carnivore the entire month, the carnivore challenge. And one of the reasons I wanted to do a steak dinner was to not only because of that, but for connection as well. But carnivore, me going to this event and I want to talk about kind of how I managed to like stay on track and eat well throughout the entire event. It's not really a secret. It's just planning, and it's just going to the grocery store when you get in. Every place you're going to stay at is going to have a kitchen, and it takes a little more effort and time, but it's so worth it with how you feel. And it was super easy for me. All I did was buy some meat. I probably went through 11 pounds of meat that in 5 days, which was great for me. And it made me feel really good, and it was easy to stick to. After a month of doing carnivore, most people are gonna be find that their cravings are almost all the way gone, if not all completely gone, and they realize that they feel really, really good. So I was in carnivore the entire weekend, and it was amazing. So to finish the weekend out with the steak dinner was just the best way I could ever imagine finishing an event out. So shout out to those guys who came. I know some of the people who came are eating very similarly, prioritizing meat, and it was really, really special. Also, I want to shout out Darlene. Darlene has
Mm.
changed her life due to switching her eating habits, and she's utilized carnivore and animal-based eating. And I saw her this weekend, and she looked absolutely amazing. And I could tell right
That's
away
incredible.
that she's just a different person, a completely different person, not only physically but mentally, energy levels, everything. So Nick and I tout carnivore a lot. I'm not going to say it's the best option for every single person as a blanket statement, but I will say that I'm very, very confident in its effects to make a person feel better and realize a new potential of a higher quality of life for themselves. I very am strongly, I feel very strongly about that in almost every single case. I've really yet to see a case where a person eating in this modality has really found negative effects. So I'm only saying this because I really want to encourage everybody else to eat with more intention with their choices, because it really does matter. And when you're at an event, a Kendama event, when you're barely sleeping, there's a lot of drinks and weed and different substances going around at night. Staying on top of your stuff and providing your body and your mind with the best life can offer can really put you like just it puts you an insane amount over your competition if you're competing, but over yourself if you just didn't decide to do those things. You're going to feel 100x better than you would have. So it's worth it staying on track at events and being out of town. It still takes a little more effort, but it's not that hard. And I encourage everybody to do so because it made my weekend a lot better, and I saw it make a lot of other people's weekends better as well.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of untapped potential with just how far people can take Kendama, not only with the tricks, but as a player in general. There are a lot of things we can do for ourselves to maximize our performance. Just like there is in any sport, right? There's things that pros do because Everything revolves around their sport, and they're taking care of themselves and acting in a way to get the best results possible out of their pro sport. And it's the same thing with Kendama. That's a topic for a different time. But if you've listened to the end of this episode, and if any of that resonates with you, eating with more intent, performing better, feeling better, having a new definition of what it feels like to have a higher quality of life, and take action towards that feeling, then yeah, message Zach and I, and we can get you started with just basic information. You can go from there. We have guides. And more importantly, just the experience and the safe place to talk about these things. I feel like it's definitely a topic that needs to become more apparent in the community as a whole, but that's for a different time. This is the BATV podcast. We have ended it here, guys. Hopefully, this was a little bit of a long one. I know Zach touched a lot about the day he got in and the competition days and the day after. A lot of good things that happened at this event. It was huge for the American scene, huge for the Kendama scene in general. 500 plus players, making it one of the best events probably ever. Assuming it was the best BATB, in your opinion, Zach, and in a lot of people's opinions, has to be one of the best events ever held so far. And it's just the beginning of 2024. So let's see if we can keep that standard.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say, exactly, the standard is only rising, and Kendama has, and one of the biggest takeaways from this weekend that I want to share with you guys before we end this is Kendama is truly boundless. It's so boundless, not in just the tricks that you can do, but its potential of growth. After this weekend, if more people play Kendama, if more people realize what was going on, I think Kendama would just be the biggest thing ever. It's truly magical what is being done and what relationships are being formed, how the development of the mind that is being done when you're playing kendama, and how much better a person can really how good a person would really get at this. It's truly amazing, and the community aspect of it is amazing as well. And everything about kendama is so valuable. And it's up to us as players in the community to push that. And a lot of people say they want to see kendama go big and grow, but at the end of the day, even our actions of how we represent ourselves and how what we're posting on Instagram, that's going to be in line with that. It's up to us to spread this, and up to us to really popularize it in a way where it gets to truly the next level. So I want to encourage everybody who takes Kendama, who really sees that and vision and believes in that vision that Kendama is truly boundless in terms of its growth, to really just go all in and utilize the tools that we can do and really showcase the amount of joy and what's happening for you in your life and how it can almost change your life, because that's the way it's going to resonate with other people the most, and that's how we want other people to get into Kendama, right? Because they either have fun with it or they resonate a ton with how much it's been done, how much it's done for people in their lives. And to touch on the trick part, Kendama is so balanced in the tricks. I mean, if you've never been to a Kendama event, get to a Kendama event ASAP. Get to a tournament ASAP. It makes it so much more real. You see the highest level of play, especially at a major competition. You see the highest level of play, and it's truly inspiring because me at 12 years, some people come up to me and it's like, I can't believe wow, like if only I could do that, or man, that's amazing. I don't even know how you get that good. Which I'm very flattered and appreciative of. It's funny because I know Kanamas is balanced to me tricks wise now as it was when I first started playing. The mentality hasn't switched. I still feel like I have so many untapped tricks and combos that I can really touch on and spend a lifetime honing. And even then, I wouldn't touch everything. So whether you're a beginner who just started yesterday, or whether you're a pro who's been playing for over a decade, the greatest thing about Konami is that it's quite literally never ending if you have a growth mindset about it. Some people may feel like they've reached the peak, but for those players, they can't see past a certain point. They can't see past a certain point. And once you realize that Konami is boundless, no matter how good you get, even Takia heck has so many tricks to hone in on. Sounds crazy, but he does. It it it's an amazing thing to accept Kendama and realize is going to be a lifelong asset in my life, and for other people to realize it in their lives as well.
Guys, let's end it there. Great Great podcast here. Great hour-long conversation. Hour plus, maybe hour 15. We'll see. We'll see after. But thanks for listening, guys. Really, really good to get back on these and talk about other things as well, future events that Zach and I are going to. Really, really excited to do a lot more event recaps this year. And we'll be seeing you guys in the next G Pod.